Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. It's a pleasure to speak in this debate on the King's Speech, the first King's Speech for more than 70 years, particularly today on the occasion of His Majesty's 75th birthday, and particularly when the topic is economic growth, because this comes to the heart of everything that I think we're here to do in this place. Economic growth isn't about statistics and percentages and headlines in the FT. It's about the real impact on households and residents and businesses across our constituencies and across the whole country. And in my constituency of Burnley and Padiham, we've probably got, I would say this, but the best set of local businesses of anywhere in the country, who don't just stand ready to help us with our future economic growth, but are doing it now already. I think of brilliant businesses in Burnley, multinationals like Vika and Safran, big bakeries like Warburton's and Cherry Tree. In Padiham, we've got businesses like LP Technology that is expanding at rapid pace, but there are so many more too. Because that's what we do in Burnley and Padiham. We make things and we export it. And that's the first thing I want to touch on about the King's Speech. Since the 2019 general election, we've passed some exciting legislation and signed some exciting trade deals with countries from Australia to New Zealand. And I was privileged to sit on the first Trade Act Bill Committee, where we rolled over a whole swathe of trade deals from our membership in the EU. And what's now very exciting is that we're looking at those same trade deals and seeing where we can go further, how we can strengthen those relationships with fast-growing countries. And that's exactly what the new legislation for CPTPP will do. Countries like Vietnam, countries like Canada, these are countries where growth is faster than almost anywhere else in the world and where our businesses are able to seize opportunities. LP Technology, one of the businesses in Padiham that I just mentioned, is going to countries like Australia and signing massive business deals. That's only possible because of the amazing work of our trade negotiators and the team in the Department for Business and Trade. And the more we can do of that, the better. But economic growth is centred in our communities. And that's why I was delighted to see the long-term plan for towns mentioned in the King's Speech. We've done an incredible job since 2019 in Burnley and Padiham of working with government to secure Levelling Up funding. We secured £20 million from Levelling Up Fund 1, £12 million from Levelling Up Fund 2, and the Prime Minister came to Burnley personally to announce that we were one of the towns to get a further £20 million as part of the long-term plan. We're going to use that to work with communities to find the things we need to do to secure that extra economic growth. And in the second town in my constituency of Padiham, we've got a flood defence scheme worth almost £18 million that is securing that town and the local economy and the residents who live there for the future. But none of that would be possible without employment. And I was delighted to hear my right honourable friend, the Chancellor, speak in the opening of this debate about his plan at the autumn statement next week to make progress on helping people get into work. Unfortunately, in Burnley, we continue to have an unemployment rate that is higher than the national average. That applies to both adults and young people. Now, we are making massive progress in tackling that issue. And it's important we tackle it because of the real impact it has on people and families. The best thing we can do to help families in Burnley is help them get into work. And that is particularly true for households where they've been out of work for some time. So I hope in the autumn statement next week, we hear more from the Chancellor on the work he's been doing with the Secretary of State for Work and Pensions on tackling that long-term households out of work. And I'll end, Madam Deputy Speaker, by talking about the final thing that I think makes a massive difference to economic growth, even if it is a politician's hobby horse, and that is potholes. Our roads in Burnley, and indeed across Lancashire, need upgrading. We've got brilliant logistics businesses in Burnley that take those products I mentioned and send them around the world. But we can only do that with roads and infrastructure that is fit for the 21st century. So my final ask to the Treasury frontbench is, as we look to the autumn statement and the budget, we continue that focus on potholes and infrastructure that makes our country work.